Welcome to A Poor Millionaire with your host Curtis. Today we're going to talk about mortgages. Should you get a 30-year mortgage or should you get a 15-year mortgage? Welcome to A Poor Millionaire. On this channel we talk about getting rich, we talk about getting motivated, and we talk about getting motivated to get rich and obviously success. If that interests you, please subscribe immediately. And if you liked the video or found it entertaining or informational, press a like button at the very end or right now if you're in the mood to press the like button. Alright guys, today we're going to talk about 15-year mortgages versus 30-year mortgages. I'm not going to do a lot of math because I think people look at the math and it starts getting weird. I'm just going to give you the general ideas. Because you look at the numbers, and even when I'm looking, I love numbers. I love sitting there doing the math on every single thing. And you should do this. You should do the math on every single scenario. So when I tell you something or anybody tells you something, you should do your own personal math. Because remember, every deal is different. When you do the math on one deal, something's one way is going to be the right way, and you do a math on another deal, it's going to be completely different. Everything different changes. Interest rates are also always changing, so maybe the interest rate when you're watching this video is much higher, which might change the overall math. First, let's ask a few questions. Number one question, is this a personal house or is this a rental? If it's a rental, then absolutely, under no circumstances should you take anything less than a 30-year mortgage. Unless, of course, the only thing you can get is a 15. Now, I've gotten 15-year mortgages on properties because that was the only thing that was available at the time for a rental. All right, this was a multifamily fourplex, and 15-year was the only one or 20-year was the only one they would give me. All right, if they had a 30-year, I would have taken the 30-year. Now, so in any rental, let's talk about rentals. All right, there's two different ones. Make that clear in your head. You've got your personal and you have rentals. Now, on a rental or an investment property, you should always take the 30-year, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, cash flow will be greater. If you have the higher the terms of year, the lower your payment's going to be. The lower your payment is, the higher the cash flow is, and cash flow solves problems. A rental property without cash flow is just a disaster waiting to happen. Cash flow will solve issues. Cash flow, number one, you can take cash flow and just simply put it in your bank and save for a rainy day when the mistake happens. Cash flow also is your profit. You can take that and that's your profit. Cash flow can be used to buy other rental properties. Cash flow can be used in a million different ways. Cash flow is king. So whenever you have a situation where you can pick more cash flow over less cash flow, you should always pick more cash flow over less cash flow. That's just a given. It's like more profit. And profit and cash flow can solve issues. That makes everything more possible. Less possible when you don't do it that way. So if it's a rental, 30-year is just a guarantee. All right? And now I can go through all the reasons why a 30-year. Let's go through a couple of them real quick. Number one is that building should be going up in value. Now sometimes they say 2%, sometimes they say 4% for inflation. I lean towards 4%. Now I've heard people say 3.865. But if you actually look at a lot of things are going up even faster. Real estate's one of those things that's going to probably go up at least 4% per year, and maybe even more depending upon the area you're in and how many people are moving in and how many people have babies. But guarantee you over time that real estate property is going to go up in value. So over time, the price of the property that you buy should go up in value, not down in value. So it's going to the 30-year mortgage you took out is going to stay the same, and that's what you want. Your rent should also go up in value. So your cash flow over time should increase, which should cover all these different problems. You don't want a 15-year mortgage so you're trying to pay off that property. There's no reason to pay off that property. What you're trying to get the money off, the highest rate of return off that property. Plus, on top of that, like I said, the property's going up. What if you pay it off? Your only other thing would be to go buy another property. But why would you do that when you could take the additional money that you're saving, the cash flow, and go buy a property as fast as humanly possible and then have it go up and then get your appreciation on that as well? So rental property, there's just no way to make that work where anything less. Get the longest term loan you can with especially right now, if the interest rates as low as 4 to 5%, there's no excuse not to get a 30-year mortgage. Under no circumstances should you do anything but get a 30-year mortgage, and get as many of them as you can. Right now is a great time to buy. Now, let's talk about personal. Personal is the one situation where maybe, just maybe, a 15-year might actually make sense. Let's talk about the scenarios where it would make sense. Are you planning on retiring within 15 years? If you're planning on retiring in 15 years and you're not planning on doing anything, you're basically saying, hey, in 15 years, I'm going to sit on my rocking chair on my back porch and do nothing and play with the grandkids or whatever it is and do absolutely nothing. I don't want to work. I don't want to deal with renters. I don't want to worry about stock market. I don't want to do nothing but just relax or go out on the lake, or I want to take up a hobby. You're going to do nothing. Then maybe, just maybe, doing a 15-year loan because you're going to retire in 15 years and you know that you're not going to be rich. You're not going to have investments besides normal basic investments so that you can live off of. Then a 15-year mortgage might be the way to go. All right. The second scenario of 15-year mortgage where it might be the way to go would be if you are not a sophisticated investment, but you're one of the type of people that says, hey, I don't want to invest in real estate. I don't want to invest in the stock market. I don't want to invest. I'm just going to save my money. And like even I'll put it in a mutual fund, but I don't want to mess with it. Right. And you're just simply putting it in a mutual fund and you're going to retire. Same thing. Retire in 15 years. Then you might be, and you're like, hey, I want to own my house outright, and I'm going to be unsophisticated. Let's assume that you're just hate the stock market, hate real estate, don't want to do any other type of investing. You're just going to invest in yourself, and you say, hey, I want the greatest rate of return, and I want to live as cheaply as possible, and I want to be out of debt within 15 years. Well, then yes, maybe under that scenario, a 15-year loan would be ideal. All right, so two scenarios. You're planning on retiring and when you retire, you're planning on not doing anything. You're not going to mess with anything. You just want to simply sit in your house and relax and not worry about stock market, not worry about real estate, not have renters, not have to do any of those other stuff. Then 15-year mortgage would be. Now, let's look at the opposite. Let's take that exact same example and say, hey, I'm planning on retiring in 15 years, but I'm willing to do a little bit of work on the back end. All right, then a 30-year mortgage might make more sense because you could take all that money that you were putting in that house and invest it into 7%, and you're going to actually end up making more money over the long run for that. So you're going to be richer, but you're going to have to do a little bit of work. You're going to have to invest it, check those stocks. You're going to take a little more risk. Obviously, if you invested in real estate and actually bought property and dealt with renters and did all this stuff, you actually may end up making a lot more money. But if you're just talking, hey, I'm just going to invest in the stock market, you get a measly little 7% over a 30-year period, you'll end up making more money than the 15. But it's not that much more. See, that's one of the reasons why it might be better. If you're planning on retiring in 15 years, then it might be better just to pay off your house. Do the Dave Ramsey where you're just like, I'm going to pay off my house and I'm not going to have anything to pay because there's less work. And I've thought about this before too. I've thought about paying off my house just because simply it lowers my overall taxes. And if I'm trying to get in that lower tax bracket, that's one other situation where you want to get in that lower tax bracket. Because remember, when that money comes in, even though you can write off the interest payment, that's still pushing up the amount of money the money you pay on the principal is still pushing up how much your taxes are. What if you got zero? What if you own it outright? All you're paying is your taxes, which is a write-off. Then basically you have zero, and then you can lower your taxes even lower and get even less taxes, right? Pay even less taxes. So, and I've thought about that because I just want to get my taxes as low as humanly possible. I'm always trying to save on taxes. But if you're making money, then maybe it's better to have a bigger loan or a loan for a longer period of time because you're going to write off that interest rate. It's going to lower your overall taxes. But if you're already making that amount, you can't adjust your income. You're at a set income. Then that, like I said, that 30, and you're not planning on retiring, then that 30 years is probably going to be your best bet. And on the 30 year, you can still pay it down quicker if you decide that you want to. You can make extra payments. Now, I don't think you should do that. I think under best circumstances, if you're going to be a savvy investor, you're going to get rich, you're going to make more money, I think you should take your additional payments and invest them either into real estate or into stocks that are producing dividends. You've got to do something with that money. You can easily make a 7% rate of return. And over that 30-year period, that house is going to go up in value, right? At 2 to 4%, and 2 to 4% is going to eat that loan. All right, the amount of money you're paying out in interest is just you're not going to be really, over time you're not really actually going to be paid. It's basically free money. That's one of the reasons why when you've got 30-year mortgage for 4 to 5%, that's free money in my opinion, because I guarantee you in 30 years from now that house is going to be worth, a house or rental property is going to be worth more money than what you paid for it by a lot. It could be double or triple or 4 times as much. I mean, that's one of the reasons why real estate is such a great investment, is because 10 years it's going to be worth more, 20 years it's going to be worth more, and 30 years it's going to be worth a lot more. It's a no-brainer. That's the reason why real estate is one of the greatest things. And a 30-year mortgage is one of the greatest things. That's the other thing. If you can lock in low interest rates right now, who knows what the interest rate's going to be? Interest rates could go up much, much higher. Who knows what they're going to be? You lock in that low interest rate right now, that is going to basically make you're going to just make more and more and more as time goes on. That low interest rate and that low payment's going to make you more money, more money, more money, more money, more money. Whereas the 15, let's say you run out that 15, you own it, and then you go try to buy more property, but yet the interest rate's higher, and you haven't used that money faster. Use all the money right now to buy if you're trying to invest and flip and try to get more houses, you need as much cash flow in your pocket as possible to do that. You don't need all your money wrapped up into one property. It's just not going to work. All right. Right now, I think 30 years pretty much going to be the best way to go, especially if you're investing in property. If you're just doing it for yourself, you're not planning on investing, but why would you be watching this channel? Right? Because this isn't, you need to switch over to Dave Ramsey and start watching those type of channels. All right? Because you're not trying to get rich. What you're trying to do, and I understand this. I mean, I completely understand. I don't want to work. I don't want to hassle. I don't want the stress. I just want to relax. I completely get that, right? I mean, one of the reasons why I want to be rich is so that I can lower my stress level, so I'm not forced to work every single day. But at the same time, though, is the toys that I want are so expensive, I'm going to have to work a little extra to get them, right? I want the big yachts, and I want the Lamborghinis, and I want the Cybertrucks, and I want the big yacht on the ocean. So I want all the big toys. So in order to get all the big toys, I'm going to have a little bit of stress, right? But if you want zero stress, you're just simply saying, hey, I want to retire in the shortest amount of time possible with the lowest amount of expenses, then yes, you want to pay off your house as fast as you can. All right? Then that is one of the scenarios where a 15-year mortgage might work out for you if you're planning on retiring within 15 years. And you've got everything set. You're like, okay, I need X amount of dollars. I'm going to get that in 15 years. I want to pay off my house in 15 years. Then you get that situation. All these different things. All right? Those are the scenarios. All right, guys. I appreciate you watching this video. I hope that makes sense to you. I know everybody pretty much agrees with the same thing. I've watched a bunch of videos on 30-year and 15-year mortgage. Anybody who's actually doing investment properties is always going to tell you 30 years, get the lowest payments you can get with the highest terms you can get. It's always going to make more sense long term, especially on investment properties. Now, obviously, like I said, if you're a personal finance guru and they're talking about debt, now they're talking to people who aren't planning on being rich. You got to decide. Are you planning on being rich? Are you planning on being rich? Or are you planning on being poor? You have to make that decision. You have to say, hey, is my income going to be higher after I retire, or is it going to be lower? This is a question you've got to ask yourself, higher or lower, because that affects your finances. Am I planning on making more money in the future, or am I planning on making less money in the future? Right? Well, obviously, I'm planning on making more money in the future, so I have to plan accordingly, and so do you. Guys, I appreciate you watching the video. Please press the subscribe button and the like button, and I will see you tomorrow.